I'm a transgender man and I work with an organization that provides legal aid through rapid legal responses, documentation of human rights violations, and providing socio-economic interventions for our communities that include LGBTI persons in Uganda. A typical day for me looks like waking up, of course, early in the morning. I'm usually up by 5 a.m. and that starts with me receiving, emergency calls. Depending on what the day looks like, that will include verification or running around in the field. But also sometimes I take time for my self-care and wellness, and I engage in passion projects like farming, and taking care of animals like dogs and cats. The passing of the Anti-Homosexuality Act really evokes strong emotions, concern, and disappointment, really. Particularly for the politicians who passed it, I really don't think they have any vested interest in the act itself or even the existence of LGBT persons in the country. I feel to many of them, or for most of them, it was a money-making venture, because we know money exchanged hands, people were paid, and it's generally a big setback for the gains that we have had as the LGBT community, because gains around access to health, it also right now infringes that right. It also affects access to housing. It's basically it creates an environment where some of the gains that we have built as the movement for the last 20 years have almost been, squashed down. And it's also a direct threat, really, to the safety and security of LGBT individuals within the country, because it's being weaponized as a tool for, attack, for hate crime, for all these violations that we have been seeing and documenting since its passing in May. And since the passing of this act, my feeling of safety and security has really been affected in so many ways, because as a transgender person, my anxiety has increased, and this also affects how, as a frontline activist, I do my work, and the nature and context in which I do this work is increasingly becoming hostile. And then also I've personally experienced eviction, so that also the threat of being homeless in a time of such crisis for the community was also very unsettling. The whole debate and conversations around the Anti-Homosexuality Act have increased visibility around the LGBT community. Like, it is very obvious for now someone to easily cloak that I'm a queer person, and that also comes with its own security threats, the threats of, possible physical violence, because we've had people being attacked and physically beaten. How I'm coping and staying emotionally and mentally well, it's mostly I'll attribute it to having a very tight and well-knit, supportive network of friends who really hold me down. Having that social cushion to fall back on at the end of the day or at the end of the week, or when you have had to deal with a very heavy, maybe a very heavy case. I have maybe also taken great care about self-care, so engaging in things I like, things like farming. I like being on the water, taking nature tours. I've tried to seek counseling, I've tried to seek for help, professional help, though it's not sustainable because it's expensive, and the resources to have that continued is also they're not readily available. My hopes for the future: one, we are challenging the Anti-Homosexuality Act in the courts of law, and it's my biggest hope right now that we actually have that law nullified, because it's affecting so much in our lives and also in the country, because the economic challenges that the country is going through because of the existence of this law. I also hope that we continue to build a supportive and inclusive LGBTI community. Times as these should only bring us closer, because at the end of the day, we are mostly the only family that we have for each other. And I hope I don't have to leave this country in search for safety and security, or fleeing persecution, really, generally. So yeah, those are my hopes and dreams for us and our future.
I identify as a transgender woman. I grew up in an extended family, a family of about 10 people. And growing up as a feminine boy was really hard for me. I got expelled from different schools, and my dad decided to neglect me and my mom, which led to me dropping out and trying the outside life, trying to work as a child, getting into the working part at a very young age, getting into the part where I have to look for basic needs on my very own without anyone's help, anyone's assistance. And life has really been hard for me. I have done a lot of online activism because I can't really move out of my safe space or safe place to go and do activism out here, like on the streets, because it's really harsh. But joining Facebook back then and joining other social media platforms, Facebook, basically, and Instagram, I was able to meet different people, and I would repost other people's creations of activism notes. And to me, it gave me an impact because I really saw how other people reacted to it, the good and the bad. I picked out the good because there's always negativity in whatever you do, so I always focused on the good and continued with my activism, started doing pieces of my own, started editing out messages. It was really amazing seeing people looking up to me, seeing me inspire young people out there like me. My feelings about the Anti-Homosexuality Act right now are, I really think the people that passed the bill into law were just brutal to themselves and to each and every person out there that identifies as a queer person, because they did things out of their own ignorance and couldn't really look out for people to talk to get to understand what queerness means, to try to understand people's different gender identities, people's different sexuality, and because even just identifying as a queer person or a transgender person is punishable. So Uganda is not really safe right now for me as a transgender person. I'm actually a threat to the community, a threat to each and everyone that sees me, a threat to each and everyone that knows me from way back then as a boy child and sees me as a girl child right now. Trying to identify as a girl child is really challenging right now. Being that I still work to afford a living, to afford a shelter, to afford a meals, I have to disguise myself to what people want me to be, to what my family wants to see me as, or to what each and everyone that saw me way back in my childhood knows me as, not as the young lady I feel would empower the nation. I have to move out as a male child or a boy child. I have to move out as a man. I have to disguise myself in clothes that cover my body. And I can't really wear skimpy clothes like I do in my own safe space at home. I have to move out as someone very different from who I feel like I am. Uganda is a very hostile and homophobic country, but that doesn't make everyone hostile and homophobic. I do have a few friends, I do have allies, I do have queer friends, and these are some of the people that have always been there to give me the push and make me feel loved, because without them I wouldn't be here. All the suicidal thoughts, all the depression, the anxiety, and each and every mental illness that I've been going through, they've always been there to help me, they've always been there to push me, to support me, remind me of how beautiful I am, of how determined I am, of how I can achieve no matter how hard and negative the country is right now, no matter the hardships and no matter the homophobia and the negativity out here, I really need to keep going. Seeing heterosexual people, knowing that queer people exist is also something that is really amazing to me personally, because it has really created activism. It has actually been, it has sensitized people about queer people. They now know queer people exist, but it's in a bad context. It's not in the right context that we really feel as queer people, because we don't feel like we are a threat to our community. We are people just as them. We are same people, same blood, same race. It doesn't really matter whether I'm gay, whether I'm trans, whether I'm bisexual. It doesn't really matter. What matters is, am I a human as just as you? If I'm a human, then I deserve all the human rights. I'm valid and I deserve to be given the same rights as any other human being.
I identify as a queer, and I'm very happy about it because it's very fluid, and it makes me really happy because I can mix with anybody from any walk of life, from any gender identity, and I'm very liberal and very happy about it, and I'm happy with who I am. I work for Proud Legends Initiative, which deals with rainbow family community 35 and above, the elderly and the middle-aged, because most of their needs were not met by the general community, and people were getting back into the closet, people were not the healthcare, the psychosocial support, and many more things. The anti-homosexuality bill was not a plus but a negative to Uganda, because in Uganda is made up of so many people, is made up of so many genders. Passing the bill was a bit myopic to please the Ugandan population, but at the end of the day, it also brought a lot of homophobia, also a lot of hate. And even if you are not queer but you look like somebody who is, you're a lady who dresses like a man, you're a man who is a bit more effeminate, people have now decided to take it upon themselves to harass you, to beat people up. And so it has become a very unsafe environment in Uganda to express who you are. My mental and emotional well-being after the passing of the AHA has been like up and down, because when the bill was passed, it was, I panicked because I thought I had no place here in this country. I thought of relocating to another safer place that would be able to accept me the way I am. But then also you have to go through different steps. You have to apply for a visa, you have to get an invitation, you have to have a number of some good money on your account, you need to get some recommendations and all that. And so my emotions were up and down because I was seeing a number of friends of mine traveling. You could hear, oh, this person is already in the US, this person is in Netherlands, this person is in Canada, this person is what, and then you'd be like, so what's going to happen? I got depressed for some time. Because depression comes slowly. I did not see it coming. And I lost weight. I lost interest in life. I wasn't going out. I wasn't getting hungry, actually. I completely lost it. And it was not until after some time that I accepted and said, you know what? I have to see how to cope here, whether I travel out of this country or not, or whatever it is. I have to see how to mitigate this situation on my own terms. So I slowly got out of the depression. And so right now, because of the organization that I deal with, we have mental health classes that we hold every Saturday. They are online, and people log in into the Zoom meeting, and we talk about. It's like an hour and a half, and we talk about mental health issues for people who are going through different things in life. I could say we've had a number of positive moments since the bill was passed. The positive moments are mostly international recognition that we exist here in Uganda, and the international community has put pressure on Uganda to annul the bill. Another is we are visible more. Since the passing of the bill, as much as it's a negative thing, but because social media has talked so much about it and it is on everybody's mouth, as much as they talk about it, then it will be a bit more acceptable. It's like reverse psychology. Personally, my hopes for the future are bright because I'm alive and I'm a voice with other people, and we are pushing to see that the bill is annulled. So the future is bright. Right now it may look bleak, but I'm sure and I'm certain that the future is bright.